What's up, everyone? Welcome to Clear Talk. I said a couple weeks ago that I was going to do a rise and fall of Biden in his presidency, much like I did the rise and fall of Trump. Although that was kind of yeah, that was about pretty much of his presidency too. Um, but I hadn't quite got to it because of all the other stuff going on, and I've kind of put it off. But here we go. I'm going to finally we're going to talk about Biden. Um, his start at the presidency and throughout his presidency, and basically what I'm seeing in the final days and what's going to be his legacy. So, uh, very much interesting topic. Maybe not that interesting, but we're going to talk about it anyways. If you would like, if you like the content I'm doing here, just consider subscribing, like, share, comment, all that good stuff, and consider checking out my other channels and stuff right there. Yeah, just say JMD Drummer, JMDPLAY, do the Discord. Check if you do want a one-time donation there, or a membership of a JMD Nation. Much appreciated. Anything you do, thank you very much. Much love here. Yes, back to the subject at hand. So Joe Biden. The short and simple. Short and simple is that he started out, in my opinion, doing some pretty good policies and stuff like that. Overall, I think the first half of his presidency, I would actually say, was pretty damn good. And he was on the path to, in my opinion, weirdly enough, even though I didn't expect it, I didn't expect anything really out of him, other than to keep the status quo. But the first half, he was starting on the path of actually potentially becoming arguably one of the best presidents, like as far as for the people, and domestic, and even somewhat even foreign. One of the best in modern history, and I I was actually quite impressed to some degree, within the realm of reasoning, um, in what he was doing. But then this last half, is slowly but surely completely fell off the ledge, and he has, in my opinion, completely ruined anything that he potentially could have had as a legacy, uh, in the way of being a good president. That's the short. That's the short. Uh, but in detail, in detail. So if you want to cut off there you go. There's your answer. Um, but uh, but the why do I say that? Why do I say the first half? Why do I say that back half? The first half, I'm saying, okay, he took office with, the pandemic. I would say maybe not. I wouldn't say at its peak. It was probably over its peak by the time he took office. It's probably on the downward trend as far as the actual like core of the pandemic was concerned, medically and health wise, speaking. So there was, and immediately, we had the payments out to people, that really was just an extension of what Trump had done, uh, trying to one up Trump, and it worked. It certainly did it, and it didn't matter. I don't care if he was trying to one up Trump. It helped people. You had, your child tax credit stuff. The There were several different policies going on through there. You wind up having, he constantly fought, even to this day, fighting for, uh, school debt payment, student loan debt. Man, I don't know why it took so long for me to get through my head. Student loan debt forgiveness. He's still, even to this day, still fighting for that. And I mean, yeah, there's plenty of argument back and forth about that. But in my opinion, uh, our college and school system, upper school system levels have gone way overboard. Exuberant prices and costs and stuff that, in my opinion, don't equate the career outlook and like what happens afterwards as far as getting a job, the pay of the job and success of the job and all that kind of like to be in a sexual career. I don't feel like the cost in most fields for education on that is relatively reasonable or even close to reasonable within what you actually gain after the fact. Um, the prices are just crazy, way higher than what they should be. Am I really loud in this mic? Do I have it a little too close? Because I feel like I peaked a couple of times there. So, I, so in my opinion, it's a good thing. I think that people these days, whether you're young or even the adults that are going back through college for try to get new degrees or whatever to change their career or further their career or whatever the case, is coming into cost and stuff for schooling that's way higher, multiple times higher than they were just 20, 30 years ago. I mean, there's been a massive amount of increase in educational costs over the years with universities and even on your more community college levels and things like that. They're still very high. The cost is increased pretty significantly. Even so when I was in school, in college. So the amount of debt is too. And then there's of course a lot of the so-called schools that are accredited schools that people are finding themselves, especially if they're trying to get into, like trying to get an additional or to maybe it's a late stage or try. A late stage kind of education degree that they're trying to get later on in life, or even something that they're trying to do within like a budget. They're trying to get some kind of degree to help them, whether it's accounting or whatever the case. I mean, my girlfriend had this happen to her, whereas she went through a college that was supposed to be accredited. She got an accounting degree, did everything she was supposed to, but then when she actually went to try to get a job in accounting, uh, nowhere could she find an accounting position would accept this college as accredited college. And she, had taken out a loan. It cost her, thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars to go to this school, and uh, and to get this degree. And so she's got this degree, but it can't do anything for her. She couldn't get a job because of it, because as far as a job was concerned, a career was concerned, they looked at it and said, "I'm sorry, but that's not accredited school, so we can't approve that you have that. We can't accept that you have this education because this college is not accredited for us. Because it's not considered a legit school in our eyes." And so she basically couldn't get a job. She spent all this money on education and then could not get a job in what she had went for. So this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. And this, like I said, this is tens of thousands of dollars that she put a loan into, and then the interest rate on that loan was so massive that she was never paying off. She was constantly paying it, and even after 10 years of paying on it, it had not come down. 10 years of paying on it, it had not changed. The principal was still the same. And matter of fact, I think the principal had increased a little bit. Or the amount that she had to pay had increased. It's ridiculous. Um, this is an issue that seriously does need to be. And there's so many people that will sit there and know, you went to school and you took on that debt and you should pay that debt, whatever. I'm sorry, but there, to act like there is not a um to act like there is not companies taking advantage of you um in these situations, and this is not just in schooling, this is medical and I mean so many different fields, to just blindly act like these companies are not trying to take advantage of people, and that it's all on the people that they should be paying it back and stuff. I'm sorry, but you're just being lazy. You're just being lazy in your argument. I'm sorry. So yes, he's been fighting pretty good. Just got off topic there for a second. He's been fighting for that pretty well. You had the infrastructure bill, which it's fine. It's doing things. It's giving jobs all across, thousands of jobs, tens of thousands of jobs all across the U.S. It, bringing fast, like for one, fast internet, high speed internet to a lot of locations that would not have gotten them. It's mind blowing that we at this late date and rural areas and stuff have not even been considered for, or have just been kind of put on the back burner as far as getting some type of high speed internet outside of satellite or something like that, which is extremely costly, and at the fraction of the speeds and accessibility to the internet as your more urban areas or whatever, or suburban areas. So this is big. It's something that's very impactful to the American people. Even the furthest out into the country that it considers themselves super conservative, this is something good for them, along with the other things in the infrastructure bill. Now, the Build Back Better bill got completely ripped apart and just completely cut down to nothing, and that was allowed, and I hated that. I wish they would have fought harder. I don't think he did a good enough job on that, but what was in it was okay. Like I said, it should have had more in it. But like there's several different things, the CHIPS Act, that wind up, these kinds of things, all these different things that brought jobs back to America. He's had a surplus of bringing jobs back to the United States. Uh, there's a lot of things that he did as far as helping the uh, NLRB was pretty good as far it's been actually not, that's me shortchanging it. It's been excellent in helping and supporting unions and stuff across across the country, and fighting back on companies that were trying to do union busting and everything. I mean, it's been probably the best NLRB in recent history. You've had uh, the can't remember the organization, but the fighting for um, uh, man, my mind. I should have had these things like listed out somewhere. The fighting for like companies, trusts, and things like that. Trying to prevent monopolies and things like that. This has been huge during his administration. Breaking up of companies or preventing mergers and stuff, antitrust laws and things. These things have been brought back to the forefold and or to the forefront, and looking at it and investigating mergers and things like that. Like all these kinds of things has actually been excellent under his. Like I said, all these things that but wind up eventually benefiting the American people. These things have been great, and that's all kinds of stuff that he's done and was mostly doing within the first half of his presidency. Even as much as this is argued against, but the withdrawal from Afghanistan was an excellent decision by him. You may not like the way things happened, but in all honesty, it probably happened as best it possibly could have. There was no way that we were going to get out of there unscathed. Unfortunately, uh, and regrettably, we lost, some military members and stuff that were, um, and those lives, will forever be remembered, along with everybody else in history that have served our government through military for good and extremely bad reasons, uh, have lost their lives. But that's what they committed to, and I'm not saying that like to be harsh. It, I mean, I wish most people wouldn't. Honestly, I wish our military was much smaller. I wish that our funding to it was much smaller. I do not. I have no interest in major militaries in any country around the world. I think that all it does is invite wars and violence and all these other different things that are costing so many issues around the world. I personally am an anti-war, anti-military. Like I don't. I think it should all be everything should be considered to reduce, not grow, and get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. But Afghanistan happened about as best as it could possibly happen. There was no way in the world that the puppet government that we put in place was ever going to rule. The Taliban was always going to take back over. That's the reason why. I mean, we had already realized that and figured that out. That once we pulled out, they were going to wind up taking back over because it just there was just no willingness by that government to actually hold itself. Um, so that's the reason why the decision had already been figured out. That we needed to have done it. Trump was supposed to do it, but he didn't do it. No matter what you try to say, he didn't do it. So Biden, once again, it may have been a one up on Trump, but he did it, and I completely applaud him for that. We needed to have been gone. We needed to have ended that forever war a long time ago. It was way overdue. So yes, I give that a one up and give it a plus. All right. Um, Getting us, bringing bringing us out of the pandemic, helping people through that financially and everything as long as they possibly could. That was all beneficial, helping people through that. Unfortunately, it got to a certain point where it couldn't do it anymore. The legally and the courts and stuff would not consider us under a crisis anymore. This is the same problem that happened when with migration as well. The reason why we've had such a sudden uh, burst explosion in illegal immigrants trying to come into the country. Those and that's what conservatives can't get through their heads. Biden administration kept most of the stuff that Trump had in place on the border in place. Title 42, remain in Mexico, all those things stayed in place for well over 2 years, 2.5 years of his presidency. That helped keep those immigrants out and I mean he wind up as a raw number and percentage uh, uh, deporting more immigrants than Trump did. I mean, illegal immigrants than Trump did. I mean, he was damn near going for deporter in chief 2.0 from Obama. So to act like his administration was just having complete open borders and people were just coming across was ridiculous. Is ridiculous on its face. Uh, Are there issues? Yes, there's definitely issues, and there's things, policies, and personnel, and things that need to be addressed on to help uh, uh, help with the protecting of the border, and working through those crossings and stuff that are happening illegal to get them somewhere where they can better holding areas or something, and better system of removal. on those specific cases, or even judges and things to help expedite people actually getting asylum and getting citizenship. And also, like, these are all kinds of things that need to be talked about, and they need to be, things need to be helped in that regard. And yes, he waited until this year before they decide. Well, no, actually, that's a little bit misleading too, because they actually attempted it originally back in 22 to pass something for the border. Republicans prevented that one from happening, and then they turned around and tried it again with support from Republicans, rewriting it and getting even more, like, more extreme on it. uh, it had some Republican support, had the support of border agencies and ICE and everything else. Uh, and just because Trump wanted something on it, he had them shut it down. He had Republicans shut it down and vote against it so that he could have something to talk about on the campaign trail. That is truth. There's no way around that. That is honest truth. Now, you can argue that that Biden waited to the last second just to throw it in there for himself as a political move. Okay, but nevertheless, it was still exactly what Republicans wanted. It was the most extreme, strong force on the border we had seen in years, and had things in there that would help out the border and security and everything else. Be stronger. So I don't like to argue that, it's like, okay, yes, if you want to make the argument that it was a political move, fine. Okay, I'm kind of on there with you. Probably was a political move, but I mean, it would have been a political move either way. It didn't matter if he would have done it in the first year; it would still been a political move. Now, could say it's a last minute political move just to make himself look good for the election. Fine, okay, but it's still policy and stuff that you have been asking for over and over, for you've been asking for since Trump, or before Trump. So, hello. I mean, I don't know why you're arguing against it now, or trying to act like it's a problem. It's just not good enough. We've given you so many things, but it's still not good enough. I'm sorry, but the border is not going to completely shut. It legally cannot completely shut down. It cannot become legally completely closed. It's just not. It can't, especially on people seeking asylum. That's against our Constitution, or well, maybe not the Constitution. It's against our law. Actually, it could be arguably against our Constitution as well. So is so yes, all those kinds of things. I think you can give as a positive for him. Like I said, helped us get uh, through the pandemic and all that. Here's the problem: the moment he decided, I know, actually, I wouldn't even say the moment he decided to completely back Israel in what's going over on the middle in the Middle East, but once it was clearly obvious by most people that Israel was potentially going a little too far, and once the whole, humanitarian crisis started being realized, and this was early on by some people, it's just now getting unnoticed by more people now, or it has continuously grew up to this point that more people are going, damn, it really does look pretty bad. I don't know if we can, uh, um, but the moment that it was clear from a lot of people that a humanitarian crisis was happening, the potential for genocide, potential that there was genocidal acts, at least, or acts, war crimes, and acts that could be considered genocidal. Uh, and he did not forcefully put his foot down like the superpower that we are and put our client state in which Israel is. Well, how you want to look at it, but they are. Helped put them there. We helped supply them. They would not be who they are without us. Okay, they are to us just as Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis are to Iran. All right, I'm sorry, but they are. Um, when he did not take the moment to do that, um, that's in my opinion where he started losing himself. And the policy to continue going down that path. Matter of fact, that's when he completely, I mean, it first started with Ukraine and Russia, right? I think he started to slip a little bit, but it wasn't really even pushing on him so much as it was just our whole, like the whole Congress and everything. Like, I think that's, there started being like that, the Russia and Ukraine, that was like starting to look bad on the whole, like the whole thing, right? And that was just all money, though, right? The fact that the sending them money over and over again, supplying with them with certain stuff, but it was mostly and weapons and things like that to Ukraine, which you could argue though was a good thing because we were protecting the underdog there. And giving them the ability to fight back. There's an argument there that could be morally or reasoned. You may not have liked the amount of money that was going there or the amount of weapons that we were providing, and the fact that it could look like we were actually sort of discreetly but passively creating or furthering the war with Russia. And I mean, yeah, we were, and we had the potential to shut it down way early on, and we didn't. Now that could be argued against Biden. And that was like I guess you could say, really, I guess the first step that could made him look bad. But even that could he could have bounced back from that though. Um, but once this started with Israel and Gaza and the stuff that happened there and the clear, you know, distinction that Israel is the superpower in regards to Gaza and the things that they were doing there and whatever you think of Hamas, they could not reciprocate in the same fashion. They just not even close. Okay. Um, it's it's like a NFL team playing a damn middle school football team or something. I mean, it's just there's no comparison there. Um, that's when he started to lose it, in my opinion. And no matter what he did before, his legacy started going downhill from there. And in this back half, between Russia and Ukraine, and then most certainly secured in with the Middle East through this past year, has completely just disintegrated any kind of relevance that he had as potentially being considered a great president by those who would. I mean, clearly there's people that would not, no matter what he did, and that speaks on our whole political dynamic as a whole, anyways. But even for those who could argue that he could do that, or could be considered that, went down the toilet, and it's just continuously went down from there. As he continues, it's he's done his finger wagging and he's done his rough, you better cut it out, Joe, bub or whatever kind of rhetoric, but continuously sending them weapons, continuously sending them money, continuously providing them with all the things that they needed to continue on with what they've been doing and progressing and continuously progressing and being more aggressive and being more aggressive and committing more crimes, has just completely ruined anything that he could argue now for him being a good president, in my opinion. Now, yes, there's still going to be people that defend him. There's still going to be people that act like he's, whatever, have been amazing for the country, protecting us from the evils of Trump, and whatever. There's an argument there. I give you that. But for me, though, personally, that was the fall, and he is continuing to fall. With just constantly letting it happen, and not trying to hold them accountable, uh, and hold them to an international sensibility of morality of any kind. Not even the rhetoric of it. I mean, it's just because it's not only actions that Israel's done; it's what they say as well. What a lot of the people in power there have said. Outside of Netanyahu puts it all in this little sweet sprinkled package sometimes in his speeches where he tries to make it sound like they're, some moral country and moral regime doing moral actions, but he makes it sound good, even though it's not. But the rest of them don't even try to sound good. They just straight up genocidal. They're just straight up, you know, death to them, death to anybody, dehumanizing everybody around them. So yeah, it's that's the problem, and that's something that I have continuously downgraded him. Every single event that has happened, every single month that has passed, every single time he said that they were fighting for a ceasefire, but clearly it wasn't happening. And Netanyahu was clear that he wasn't going to do it. And, it was obvious that Biden was just being pushed around and ignored and made out to be the weak, half asleep president that he clearly is. So I'm sorry. It just to the point that he had to drop out of the election and Harris had to take over the reign to become president. He can't. He's a lame at this point in more than one way. Um. So yeah, I feel like that was the fall. So he had the rise going. You could have arguments and nuanced discussions about all these positive things that he was doing for the people of America and domestically, and like I said, even in some foreign cases like Afghanistan or whatever, there's argument there. Um, but instead of staying in that path and staying in that rise and making better decisions for America, it started to fall with Russia and Ukraine a little bit. Although there's still some decent argument can be made there that is at least somewhat morally just. But then once Israel and Gaza and October 7th and everything that has happened after that, the extremeness of Israel after that has completely caused him to just fall off a cliff. And so, no matter what at this point that he does good, I mean, yeah, you can state that it's a good thing, but it's not going to help his legacy. It's not going to help. He's still going to be known as the president who allowed Israel to do what they've done. It's just as simple as that. 10, 15, 20 years from now, there will be more than likely museums and shit dedicated to the atrocities and stuff that Israel has done over the past year. And he will be known as the president who let it happen. And that's just as simple as that. Um, Now, apparently today, maybe some light at the end of the tunnel. Apparently today it was released that the U.S. In a letter is stating that they are basically giving Israel 30 days to improve the humanitarian crisis issue in Gaza, or it will put at risk our ability to provide them with military aid. And what is weird about some of the one particular line in there is about it saying that it may potentially, that it may cause a change in military aid. Sort of throwing up that kind of, we could decide that you're okay, but, where it should actually say we will stop the military aid. But it says we may stop it. But they are saying that they're giving them 30 days, although even that is too far. It should be now. It shouldn't be no 30 days. It should be right now. Because they've shown that in September was the lowest month of aid since the start of the war. And there's already clearly been talks that have been released that Netanyahu is considering completely emptying, trying to get people to leave by evacuating them, telling them to leave or whatnot, and then cutting off all aid and resources to northern Gaza to starve out Hamas that is there. That's what's floating around. So in this, they're saying 30 days to improve the humanitarian aid in the northern Gaza Strip, including up to 350, not up to, 300, verifying that there's at least 350 trucks allowed into the Gaza Strip through all 4 current openings, passages in the 4, borders, but then opening up a 5th passage as well. So they want 5 entryways into Gaza, allowing 350 trucks in. A day, 350 a day, making sure, and then also pauses, ceasefire pauses to allow for that aid to go where it needs to go, at least for the next 4 months. So now you can say that this is probably a political election thing. They're trying to make it look good. The same thing that come out yesterday about Israel, just saying that they are, looking more at now hitting military targets instead of the nuclear and oil targets that they were previously talking about, although they're still putting it up in the air that they still could. And that was all a political thing for the election to help, supposedly not make it look like they were interfering with the election. Although clearly, it's pretty clear Netanyahu is trying to make sure that Democrats don't win. He wants Trump in office so that he can do whatever the hell he wants. But so this could potentially just be that. But hey, I don't care. Now, like I said, it shouldn't be 30 days. It should be straight up now. And in light of, the letter came out, I guess, yesterday, not today. Let me correct it. I think it came out yesterday. And after that release, the Israel announced that they had allowed like 30 or 35 trucks into the Gaza Strip, in the northern Gaza Strip, I think at that, maybe, to allow aid in yesterday. So they're trying to like, hey, we are letting them in. What are you talking about? I don't think they're trying to make that argument. What are you talking about? Acting like we're not letting humanitarian aid in? Of course we are. That's what we're doing. We're not, we're not barbaric like these people are. But I think it's I don't think it is way too little, too late. This should have been done months ago. You should have been putting your foot down months ago. And I mean, it was still not necessary that Israel's really going to heed to that. Within the next 30 days, they could have they could actually accomplish all the shit that they've been wanting to accomplish if they really wanted to. So then what are you going to do? Are you going to suddenly, but within that 30 days, say, well, you've clearly not, within 15 days, if they've done some major ass stuff like they've been doing, or even gone further, more bombing, more killing of people, or and it's just on military aid. It's not like we want you to stop. We want you to provide more military aid, and we want you to stop bombing these places. And all that, just allowing them to do whatever they want as far as that's concerned. Kill all the people you want. Just get humanitarian aid to those who are still alive, and to those who might survive the next 30 days. This video is going longer than I originally planned, but that happens a lot here, right? So yes, that is the. We'll see on that, but that, in my opinion, still doesn't fix his legacy. It doesn't fix what he's done and what he's allowed over the past year. So yeah, that is the rise and fall of Joe Biden and his presidency as the 46th president of the United States. He could have had it. He could have been great. He could have been considered one of the best in decades as far as actually doing things that actually benefit the American people and not just corporations and the rich and wealthy like all the previous ones have been doing, including Trump. That's what he mostly did. And what he would do if he got back in. But he lost it. At least in my opinion. Let me know what you think. Comment down below. Let me know what you think of his presidency. Do you think he could still revive it? Do you think he still has a chance in the next, I don't know, what, 30 days? Less than 30 days? Yeah, it's actually what, 15, 16, 17, no, 20, 21 days to an election. Well, I mean, I guess he's got till January, right? But yeah, yeah, do you think he can salvage it? I think it's still too little, too late. Anyways, thank you very much for joining me. Again, consider subscribing, like, share, all that good stuff. And until next time, it's been Clear Talk. Peace. I'm out.